All right, guys, this is a guest I've been excited to have on for several weeks since I started talking to him. It's Gabe Bock, the old TexAgs coach. He's one of the guys that truly helped me fall in love with A&M football when I was in school. He was hosting the show, and I'm sure he's the same for a lot of y'all. So it's great to have him on. Gabe, thanks so much for doing the show. Gabe,
Yeah,
say hello to Aggie
absolutely.
Land. Let everyone know
Yeah,
what you've been up to
Diego.
lately. We miss you, man. It's great to hear from you.
Appreciate it. Thanks so much, Drew. You're tearing it up, man. It's been good to see. I mean, it's just I love a fan who is passionate about A&M sports, who is generally positive. Now, there's times where we all want to kind of jump off the deep end, but is just helping us all get through the ups and downs in season and just dreadfully long off season, right? I
Yep.
mean, the content's been fantastic. I'm checking you out. Obviously, Twitter understands because they're feeding me all your stuff. I don't think there's a single post where the algorithm isn't coming right back to me. So it's been really cool to see. I'm still here. Been in Aggie land since 2000. Have never moved. I've lived in two towns my entire life: Denison, Texas, and Bryan, College Station. And golly, the last 4 years have been incredible. I was stepping away a little bit, obviously, from the content part of it, and moving into real estate and getting to work with my wife and getting to coach my son's baseball team and attending my oldest daughter plays volleyball, basketball, and softball. My youngest daughter's in musical theater and is in the Little Wranglers, which is the cow country dancing, and is involved in all kinds of stuff. My son's a baseball player. He's playing middle school football now, and he's playing golf and all this kind of stuff where, you know, God kind of nudged on me a little bit during COVID. He's like, man, what are the next 5 to 10 years going to look like with the travel and the other thing? And I'm like, but I'm so passionate about this job. But, I mean, it's slow but surely getting to the realization that I needed to choose family first and that I would never regret any of that. And you might regret it if you didn't. And so it got to the point where I needed to make that move 4 years ago. And I tell you, Drew, it's been spectacular. No regrets at all. I do miss at times though. There are moments, right, when A&M makes that run to Omaha, or even like I'd love to get on and lambash Schlossnagle right now after that, or even what Bucky's doing in the portal, and then certainly some of these moments along the way with football. But I tell you, there are a lot of times where I leave as a fan from Kyle Field with my kids, and I go, I'm kind of glad I don't have to spend the next 4 days on this.
Yeah, I know, man. You did not cover App State, right? You were not in the
No,
chair for that one. Okay.
I was in the chancellor suite with Megan. We got invited, and I tell you, that's the worst place in the world you'd want to be when you lose to Appalachian State.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
God
you're
bless
better off
David
in the sun.
Nuno. Yeah, he had to deal with that one. I know, I know. Well, it sounds like you're getting some quality family time during those kind of years
Yeah,
where they're, growing up. You're
yeah,
seeing all the sports in action. It sounds like you're able to be flexible with your time now, and that is an amazing opportunity you have. Couldn't be more happy for you.
yeah, no question, man.
But zeroing
Yeah.
in on this football program, we're on the eve, the doorstep of the season. It's an exciting time of
Woo.
year. We're at the end of talking season. It's about to happen. Just before we kind of go big picture, just on the surface, how excited are you for this 2025 football season?
Man, I'm really excited about it. I love what Elko's doing. I mean, he's a real football guy. He's a football guy. He's not glitz and glamour. We've seen that before. We've seen it work for moments, and then we've seen it torpedo the
Mm-hmm.
program at times. You got to have substance.
Absolutely.
And I think Elko's filled with nothing but substance.
Yep.
And I love what he's about. I love what I'm so glad he's calling ball plays again on the defensive side of the ball. He's kind of taking more of the reins on that because last time he was here calling defensive plays, I think we averaged 15 points allowed a game. And if we do that this year with the offensive firepower, you're looking at Drew's prediction being dead on or maybe undercutting at 10-2. And
No.
so, because I love what A&M has on offense, just the number of starts and the experience. You've got some guys older than some NFL offensive line starters playing on your offensive line. I
I
mean,
know.
some real beef and real experience. And I'm good friends with Jimmy Turner. He still lives in town. Of course, he's not coaching ball or anything, but got coaching the Super Bowl. You talk about that. An offensive line's like a nickel, not 5 pennies, and you got to have them going in the exact same direction um, every single play. And you really have 7 starters back when you think about it on the offense. So I
Such a
love what this
stabilizer.
team's about.
Yep.
No question, man. And I'm a big Marcel guy. I really am. I'm high on Marcel, and I think he's got a lot of weapons. Second year in the system, third year in college. So, and we can dive into Marcel more if you want, but I'm telling you, I think this team's pretty good this year. Obviously, you're taking a backseat nationally to the so-called number one ranked team in the country right down the street. So, but that's fine. I think we're at our best a lot of times when we're in the shadows. And I say shadows, there's still people that have us in the top 10. So not a terrible place to be. I don't have it quite that high yet. I want to see a little bit more, but man, I'm excited about the season. I really am, Drew.
I don't mind us having to earn it. I don't mind y'all slotting us at 21. We might be a top 12 power rated team, but let us work our way up. Let us prove ourselves, because we haven't done that in recent years, and I want to kind of back up and look at that. You've been doing this a lot longer than I have. I think you started covering the team in the Sherman era. Is that correct?
I started covering the team in the Franchione
Really?
era.
Okay.
I got here in the Slocum era, and I took the first game I took my wife to, and her brother, who, by the way, just survived a stroke in the last 2 weeks and is doing unbelievably well. But, prayers out to Casey. He'll probably listen. He's a big fan too, by the way, of Drew.
Thanks, Casey.
So, yeah, for sure. He's a huge Aggie sports fan. Huge. Anyway, so I took Megan and Casey to the 2002 OU game as a student. I was still a student when we beat the Sooners. And that was the Reggie McNeil breakout game as a freshman.
That's
where
awesome.
You remember that play where he's getting hit and he hits Greg Porter in the back of the end zone. And Greg catches the back of the football as he's going out of bounds. I don't think there was replay at the time. That haunted us in 2006 when we had a fumble that was overturned against Tech, and then they throw a bomb to beat us at Kyle. But that was like the first year of replay. But 2002, I don't think there was replay yet. Thank God. But Greg got that ball in the back of the end zone right before halftime. Reggie threw 4 touchdown passes that game, 2 to T. Murph. And then there's the iconic moment of Terrence Kill Sr. intercepting a football to clinch it against the number one Sooners and then flipping the ball to Bob Stoops, which is just a great moment.
Of course.
Great moment. But, so I go back to the Slocum era, really. And then, I was a Cub trying to get in about the time as a Cub reporter during that transition to Dennis Franchione.
Okay. So you've seen them. You've seen Sherman. You've obviously seen Sumlin and Jimbo up close and personal. Now you observe Elko from outside the host chair once again. You've seen a lot of iterations of Aggie football, and I'm curious from that lens, what stands out about those eras and kind of why you think none of those coaches, aside from Slocum, but we're talking more past Slocum, couldn't get A&M over that hump. There were some mountaintops. They got to the mountaintop or had some successful seasons, but that always seemed to be the peak. It never got over that 1 or 2 good years. Why do you think that is? And A&M's always been called the sleeping giant, right? We've heard that one time and time again. Why couldn't anybody awaken it?
A&M definitely is a sleeping giant. Everybody knows it. The money's there. Olin and I used to gripe all the time on the air of what do you possibly need to win at the highest level in college football that A&M won't provide you? Think about the Jimbo era. Literally anything, as much money, as much resources you could possibly want. Here it is. Now go win. The problem was just finishing games and not winning, and finishing seasons and not winning. The November blues and everything else. That wasn't just a Jimbo thing. Kevin Sumlin had plenty of those, and Mike Sherman had plenty of those, especially 2011 with that loaded team that was coming back off winning 6 straight games and getting to a Cotton Bowl in 2010 after they made the move to Ryan Tannehill at quarterback. It was all set up for Sherman. And then he knew he had Johnny, but in his mind, maybe he's thinking Jamil Showers because he loved Jamil Showers. And so I don't know what would have happened. You think about a lot of these, if Sherman hadn't gotten fired, would Johnny have even happened?
Right.
Which is very interesting. But I want to go back to 2002. The last win that RC had as coach of Texas A&M was that OU game. And then they lose in an overtime game against Missouri, and RC gets fired. But in hindsight is 2020. You don't know in the moment what transpired among insiders you talk to and just people around that knew what was going on. But so think about if you don't fire RC in 2002. And I get you just hired the Alabama coach at Texas A&M. So in the moment, he was white hot. You got TCU, how great Franchione was, and then he won 10 games at Alabama in his second year. So, and then you go steal him. They're freaking out on Feinbaum in 2002 because Dennis Franchione just left for A&M. And it took them a minute, and then they and everything else, but they got their guy over there. But so in the moment, I get, oh man, we got a chance to go get Dennis Franchione. I think we should do it. RC's been kind of hit and miss the last couple of years, but let me tell you this. At the time, there was a young offensive coordinator who took over the play calling midway about the third game of the season in 2002 for A&M, and his name was Kevin Sumlin. And he did a spectacular job. And you had a in that moment, he did a spectacular, he was young and hungry, very hungry coach at that time. And he, and then you had the OU win, you had the culmination there. You knew what you had coming back with still a young Terrence Murphy and a very young Reggie McNeil. They had that 3-4, which was set up for Justin Warren, who was coming in, one of the top players in the state of Texas, one of the top players in the country, who in a 4-3 under Friend became a middle linebacker, got too big and was second team all conference. But this guy had ability now. And that wasn't just that. The defense still had a ton of talent left. But let me tell you something. Adrian Peterson, I wholeheartedly believe signs with Texas A&M. If Kevin Sumlin's still at Texas A&M, guess where Kevin Sumlin went when R.C. Slocum got fired? To Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Ken Rucker was not retained by Dennis Franchione. He went to Texas. And so, there's a lot of that. So he got Adrian, who loved it here. You got us, who'd been recruiting him since he was about 8 years old, you know.
Yeah.
And then someone who leaves, and his running back coach is gone. You got this Franchione, who's kind of hard to connect to people. He really is. I mean, I covered him.
Yeah.
He's hard to connect to people. And so wasn't a tremendous recruiter when you watch it play out. But if RC doesn't leave, you have Reggie McNeil and Adrian Peterson and Terrence Murphy on that offense in the Big 12. That was still really good at that time. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But instead of Adrian being up north, right, for OU, you got to face him, and he runs for 2,000 yards in his freshman year, basically. He's right here. So think about how different it is. I think we fired RC a little too soon. And then, of course, the next year was going to be so good. And then you get AD that I think he stays for a little while. The Franchione era was a complete bust. And I think Mike Sherman did a spectacular job. You know that Ryan Tannehill in 2008 when Mike Sherman got the job, Ryan Tannehill played receiver.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And he broke their freshman record for receiving yards. Yeah. And obviously became a great quarterback in the NFL. But Gerard Johnson also played receiver until Stephen McGee got hurt. Because Mike Sherman looked around and he saw a whole bunch of walk-on starters.
Yeah.
And he's like, where's the talent around here?
Yeah.
Our running back's 314 pounds. And I got some slow-footed dudes on the back end of my defense. And what are we going to do to get some talent on the field? I got some really talented quarterbacks. Let's put them at tight end and receiver just to see what. And then McGee gets hurt in the second game of the year, and Gerard has to play.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But so I think that moment, like if RC had stayed, what if?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Sherman did a really good job of retooling the talent pool. Right? I mean, they go down to Galveston and get a basketball player named Mike Evans. They go over to Kerrville. They had a kid named Johnny Manziel that a lot of other teams in Texas didn't want or didn't think was a quarterback.
Yeah.
And they go get a 3-star out of Austin named Ryan Swope in the backyard of Texas. So on and so forth, recruiting these, Patrick Lewis wasn't a highly recruited guy. Great center. Yeah. Luke Jokel was, Jake Matthews was, Cedric Ogbuehi was kind of an emerging 4-star talent. I mean, they got talented guys that everyone wanted and landed them. And then they got some diamonds in the rough because that's what Sherman was great at. He wasn't unbelievable at winning close games, unfortunately.
Yeah.
He won them. He won all of them in 2010, starting with the Kansas game, then Tech, and Tannehill throws 400 yards his first start at Cowpille against his dad's old school where he played receiver. But that 2010 was pretty spectacular. But in 11, he had all those cats back other than obviously one named Von Miller. Right. That's probably pretty big deal.
Yeah.
But other than that, and then and then it all kind of caved on them when they had blew 17 and 18-point leads and things like couldn't hold leads and couldn't close the season. So he gets fired. And so I think Sherman did a great job, and then someone took full advantage of it because we just needed a breath of fresh air. Mm-hmm. Like A&M needed a breath of fresh air at that moment, and that was the perfect hire in the moment. But I am convinced that Kevin Sumlin at that time was convinced that he made Johnny. When you and I both know that you and I both could have coached Johnny.
Right.
Because the way you coach Johnny is you don't. Just get
Cut him
it
loose.
to August. Get it to August.
Yeah.
Like, get it past the offseason. Get it to August and just let him go.
Yeah.
And that's what Cliff was so great at. Like, I'm going to make this simple and let this dude just ball out and play.
Mm-hmm.
But Kevin Sumlin is it was kind of a narcissist, A, and B, obviously he's insecure in a lot of ways. And so, and that reared its ugly head in 2015 when he wouldn't have conversations with his quarterbacks and caused. So here's my second one. So the first is I think they fired RC a little too soon. So that's the beginning of Sumlin's A&M life, right?
You're talking kind of like ripple effects. These ripple effects, the butterfly effect, yes.
Yeah, butterfly effect a little bit. So it's like, all right, well, you know, what happened? So the RC thing. And then the second thing, too, is letting Kevin Murray's son walk out of here as a freshman is an egregious mistake that ultimately cost Kevin Sumlin his job, because you had to know in that moment you had something truly special there. Kyler Murray was special, and you knew the minute you signed him out of Allen High School, the greatest high school quarterback of all time, the son of the second best quarterback in A&M history. Some might say Bucky 2. Fine, either way. 2A, 2B, obviously Johnny 1. Kevin Murray's in the mix, okay? Unbelievable in the mid-'80s, Jackie Sherrill, and survived an ankle that went like this in game, okay?
Yeah.
And couldn't run anymore. And that's why he wasn't an NFL player, but stood up there and just balled out with his arm, okay? The guy was an unbelievable quarterback. Now you got his son, who's the best quarterback we've ever seen in high school at A&M, and you know he's a first-rounder, maybe in 2 sports.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the future would tell us he was a 2 first-rounder in both sports and the number 1 overall pick in the draft. And you let the sucker walk simply because you were unwilling to have important conversations when you had another 5-star in there.
Yep.
You know, so I don't give him too much flack for not recruiting Mahomes. I know you can easily look at that, but, you know, Spavital had all these ties in Arizona, and you get a 5-star that wants to come here. Like, God, just looking back on it, it's like that kind of stinks. What happens if? But, you know, we didn't really recruit him at all. But you had Kyler Murray on campus.
Yeah, you had your guy.
And, yeah. To let him walk was a gross mistake. That reared its ugly head. Yeah, you traded. You got the trade. The player to be named later in the Trevor Knight deal was, some guy named Daimler, right? Christian Daimler, I think, was a little backup offensive lineman. But Knight got us through in 16, but then in 17, with the injury, and then you got a 34-point lead at UCLA. Oof. Think about a junior Kyler Murray on that team.
Yeah.
That had a 34-point lead in the Rose Bowl.
Yep.
You know, instead you had to go Mond, which all credit to him. He's the toughest son of a gun, most durable quarterback we've had in a long time.
Oh, yeah.
Missed one play that mattered in his entire A&M career to injury.
Yep.
And that was the Clemson game in 18 when he got that cramp. And the next play was the fumble 6.
Yep.
I hate to remember it, but it's true. And we probably win that game if Mond didn't get that cramp. He was unbelievable late in that game, right? Even after the cramp. But you don't have to deal with the 17 game 1 Mond getting inserted and being a deer in the headlights. And they didn't coach him. He was snapping balls with 20 seconds on the play clock with a 34-point lead. Yeah. And so, you know, that you don't deal with that if you have Kyler Murray and maybe Kevin Sumlin's still the daggone coach. I mean, who knows? So those are kind of a couple moments. But it ultimately led to, we've had some great ones, right? We've had some great ones. Certainly the Manziel era is something you'll never forget. And I wouldn't trade it for anything other than a national championship. I would trade it for a national championship.
Right. Yeah. The prized possession. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But it's ultimately where we are now. And I like this football team. So we just got to win, man. We just got to win.
Yeah. Well, you just took us through kind of your experience, you know, following this team, covering this team. And I want to know, I mean, taking it to now, what lessons stand out for Elko to follow now? What does Elko have to do right that some of these guys maybe got wrong? How does he avoid this butterfly effect, this single decision that can lead to years of just searching and, you know, the next thing kind of faulting and not coming to fruition? How does Elko avoid this leaning on those past mistakes?
Yeah. Well, I mean, he can definitely learn from the guy that he replaced, because the one thing you can't have happen is the App State moment or anything just utterly embarrassing about the program. You got to have your team ready to play every single game.
Yeah.
And the thing about Jimbo is the team wasn't ready to play every single game.
Yeah.
And when you're not ready to play, you can get punched in the mouth. Then you look up and it's the third quarter. You're like, shoot, we're down 10. What are we going to do? I know we're better than them, but they're beating us in the fight right now.
Yep. Yep.
The thing about Elko is I don't think he's going to get beat by teams that have inferior talent to him, because I think he's going to have this team ready to go.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, he doesn't care about all the other stuff.
No.
Like, I mean, he's a program leader, but he doesn't care about, making a fine bomb appearance or, whatever he can be. He'll do it because he has to. But he wants to sit in there and watch tape. Just sit in the back room, watch tape, break it down, figure out how he's going to win, and get his football team ready. So, I think he knows what he's doing.
I think something you pointed out earlier about, I think Sherman, bringing talent together, finding, some high profile guys, but really finding those diamonds in the rough, really, being diligent about film and really being diligent about searching. I kind of think we get that from Elko, because if you look at how his recent classes have come together, specifically the most recent recruiting class that got put together relatively early in the cycle, he's going California, he's going Georgia, he's going, New Jersey area where he's from. And it seems like he's not necessarily chasing that shiny object that maybe Jimbo got caught doing. You can look at that 2022 class, maybe got shiny object syndrome in there, maybe skipped some steps doing that. I mean, I think I see that with Elko, that kind of, that willingness, that dedication to the search, to the process of finding your players. And I'm hoping that that's something that can pay dividends for A&M, because I like a lot of these guys you bring in. And like a Marco Jones, he wasn't a 5-star. He wasn't the highest rated in the class, but he might be the most talented. And he wasn't. He might not have gotten that, those accolades that some other of these Jimbo 5-stars got. But
I agree.
Talking about that Elko culture, I mean, how would you describe this culture so far, a year and a half in? A lot of talk about culture, right? The Jimbo culture.
For sure.
It was good till it wasn't, right? It felt like a good 3-year ramp up into that 2020 season. Then it felt like some things maybe were slipping through the cracks a little bit afterwards. It sounds like maybe a little bit of, I don't know, complacency is the right word. I don't know if just putting up a little bit more than you should. I don't know what it was, but what stands out as the difference in culture in terms of buy-in and accountability and all of that for Elko?
Yeah, man, you're exactly right, because he had it rolling through 2020. And people say, well, A&M hadn't won a 10-win. A&M hadn't had a 10-win season. But that was a 10-game schedule, and we went 9-1. So I think people just kind of overlooked that. So they only won 9 games in 2010. Well, we only played 10. Yeah. It was different. They're all conference games.
Of course,
so, you got to give him credit where credit's due. It started fantastic. He immediately flipped the Sumlin culture on its ear.
We had reason to believe that this was 100%. Going the right direction.
Yep. Yeah, no doubt about it. All the way through 2010. I don't know what happened if in the post-COVID environment. I mean, you blame some of that. I don't know. Yeah. But they just and then you got that huge raise. Part of our culture too, as an athletic department, is we give raises out too fast. Right. Undeserved, necessary. Like, hey, already you're the highest paid coach in the country. One of, like, just go. Let's get a little bit closer. Why do we need to jumpstart this thing? And then you give them the $10 million a year from the 7.5, and then it's like, I don't know if you get lazy. I would. I mean, the best job in the world is to be a fired football coach. Oh my goodness. It's the best job in the world. Charlie Weiss is getting paid by 3 schools. Yeah, exactly. So, now Jimbo's doing the same. Yeah, so and then the App State thing happened, kind of torpedoed you. It just, and then all the quarterback injuries and probably missed recruitment of some stuff. Yeah, he missed a lot of quarterback. The best quarterback he had was the one given to him by Kevin Sumlin. And, he missed a lot and didn't develop a lot, and then had a lot of injuries there too. So that was a major problem in the whole deal. And but Elko preaches on culture. Elko's about what he preached. What did he say in the very opening press conference, man? We're going to not talk about it. We're going to be about it. And I think sometimes last year, maybe he did get guilty of talking about it just a little bit. Like after LSU, he was feeling himself a little bit like, hey. Hard not to after that one, but yes. For sure. Yeah. And he learned, live and learn. That was his 3rd year coaching as a head coach, right? You live and learn. You get all these mics, all these cameras in your face. I mean, look, I've been known to say some stupid stuff too. When you average 100,000 words a day publicly. Oh my goodness. Every once in a while, you get some Twitter material coming back to you from time to time, right? Because you say a couple things stupid. When I said a bunch of stuff stupid, right? Even this morning with you. So, so I get it, but I do think they're about it. And are far less interested in talking about it and just going and doing. And that's what I love about this program. And then it bleeds down to assistant coaches, and it bleeds down to the guys leading your program, like Torian York, like Trey Zune, like Marcel Reed.
Oh, yeah.
And Marcel Reed will tell you straight up. I mean, when he's feeling disrespected, I kind of love that, competitor spirit about him.
I love how he opened
But
his first presser of the year with it, too. He was asked a
yeah,
question, what have you been working on? He goes, you've heard it. I've heard it. Not a passer. It's like the chip is on the
yeah,
shoulder, and we are seeing it, first and
yes, bring
foremost,
it
in
on.
the forefront. So bring it on. Absolutely.
No, I love that, man. I'm a big Marcel Reed fan. In a lot of ways, he reminds me, I get a lot of Gerard Johnson vibes,
Yep.
and it has nothing to do with his game. Gerard Johnson's slower than Steve McGee. McGee was fast. Now,
Yeah.
when you think about comparing him to the athletes in his quarterback room, Tannehill, great athlete in college, right?
Mm-hmm.
Gerard Johnson was a nice athlete, not fast. Marcel Reed, a blazer. Gerard Johnson's specialty, deep ball,
Oh, yeah.
right? Marcel Reed, not necessarily. At the same time, though, when you hear him talk and you're like, that's the guy I want leading my football program.
You know what? He's a coach's son. You can just hear it. You can hear it through
So
the
was
pressers.
Gerard.
Yep.
Yep.
That's
Yeah,
it.
Gerard's dad played here and was a coach before he passed away. And you just feel the maturity. You're like, this is a program leader right here.
Yep.
Without a doubt, he's going to be a future coach. And I can see Marcel Reed doing that without a doubt.
100%.
I love what he's about. And I love his game too, man. I
Yeah.
don't love it like Joe Tessitore, but I love it.
I don't think anybody
Love the
loves
game.
Marcel Reed as much as Joe Tessitore. Let's talk
Hey,
about this team.
find you someone who loves you like Joe Tessitore loves Marcel Reed.
I rewatched that game because I pulled that clip. I rewatched the whole game. I mean, Marcel bust onto the scene last year.
Oh,
I mean,
did.
it was unexpected. We didn't see the Connor Wigman injury coming, and Connor struggled early in the year. And it was surprising on the road. He had the Oklahoma State game before, and it was promising. He had a great, game, especially given the team that he had around him. It was very much a dwindled postseason team you see often in the sport. But let's talk about the team.
He pushed in on the third play of the year too, right? Or the bowl game.
Yeah,
So,
because he was he third, fourth string, something like that? Because I forget names now, but
Wigman and Jalen Henderson. And
Henderson
Max
goes
Johnson.
down. Yes, absolutely. But let's talk about this team. Let's get into it. So again, I've been covering the team 4 years. You've been watching this team for a long time. Now, we've talked about the coaching regime, what needs to change, culture changes, all of that. From a player personnel, team vibe standpoint, for me, this team stands out a little bit over the last 4 years that I've covered, because the last 4 years, starting with 2022, you've either had coaching instability, which was triggered in 2022 by pretty much App State. That was the game that did it. A young team, a lot of new players to that 2022 team. In 2023, you're kind of on some uneven footing. You're having quarterback shuffles, largely by way of injury, but quarterback shuffles. You're a little unstable. And last year was a year one, which, stable coaching job, but maybe unstable in that you're in a year one. In 2025, this feels a little bit uncommon in that you have some stability in the coaching staff and you bring back a lot of players. So to you, does this compare to any specific team in the past? Is there any comparison you see where you get 8 starters back on both sides, or is this kind of an uncommon year? And it feels specifically uncommon given the current landscape, given that you have 7 linemen. I mean, 2 of those guys could have transferred out and started somewhere else this year. You got to believe that. They could have. You could have had an Amari Daniels transfer out and start somewhere else. You could have had an E.J. Smith transfer again. You could not have brought in 2 running backs. It feels uncommon in that continuity. Do you feel the same way?
Man, it really feels uncommon in the NIL transfer portal era to have this much coming back. To have a guy like Fathery that has no idea if he's going to play a lot, and he's got to have a battle up his on his hands, and he would have had instant opportunity. But he's got Zune on the left and Crownover on the right. It's like, well, could Crownover go inside, or could I? No, because you got Basantis and Amarje Reed Adams, the best guard in the country. And then you got 2 dudes in the middle. Coley could have left, right? Coley was fantastic, and in an entire season of being ushered into the starting lineup, and I thought he was really good. Way beyond what I expected. And then, but Naboo is fantastic too. So, I really love the experience up front. It starts with that. You've got some incredible just pop and zip added to the receiving core, which was so desperately missed. And we haven't had that in a long time. You got to go back to I think you got to go back to Reynolds and Kirk. The last time you've had that 2016 group, even Kirk without Reynolds, it was hard as a marked man in the slot without a whole lot of help on the outside. But when you had Reynolds, Josh Reynolds is one of the most underappreciated players of all time at A&M.
Absolutely.
Dude just made plays. I think he's a top 4 receiver in A&M history. And I absolutely love what they have gotten in here, which is going to help. Going not just getting Craver, getting Concepcion paired with Craver helps Craver.
Oh yeah.
Because you've got Concepcion on the outside and vice versa too. But how about ABR on the other side? Because he's a guy that maybe not be dominating the scouting report right now, but it won't be long until maybe he will.
Right.
And you've got to account for the RPO, the QB run game, and a three-headed, and I guess if you listen to fall camp, maybe four-headed monster at running back, because apparently Emmett's boy is looking very healthy and having a very nice fall camp.
Taking strides, absolutely.
Man, I just love what they got on offense.
Yeah.
Obviously, you love the linebackers. Scooby can really run. York's just an all-time great leader. You got both your safeties back who are being pushed by Ratliff and Miles Davis, and you got your nickel back who's fantastic, and Tyreek Chappelle who was hurt. But then you also went out and got him some competition, which is a coach's best friend.
Yeah.
Jordan Shaw from Washington, who was great there. And you got the blanket on both sides. But the other blanket doesn't know if he's warm yet or not, because he's got Des Ricks, who apparently has made big strides.
Yeah.
And so he's trying to get on the field. And then on the other side, Javon, too, who I kind of like as a young piece. But the big question, obviously, is especially on the defensive front. But I tell you what, man, if I'm being completely honest, those dudes were a little more ballyhooed than they were productive last year. I hate to say it.
Yeah.
And I guess Shamar Turner's more dirty work anyway, but Stewart, he looks unbelievable. He did pressure a lot, but he didn't get home a lot, and that put a lot of pressure on Squirtin too, who I thought was very good. Was he unbelievably great? No. And maybe those were misinformed expectations based on what he did in the Big Ten the year prior, but I thought he was fine. He was good. I'm glad we got him.
Yeah.
Guy going home, he was productive, but 100% see Cassius Howell blowing up this year and becoming a top 2 round kind of pick, and obviously he's been pushed by Kennedy and Jones, and I really like what they did in the portal on that strong side, and then go into Iowa State and pick out a guy coming back to Texas to battle DJ Hicks, and then you got Regis, who I feel like's been here since the 90s.
Yeah.
And he's just such a veteran piece on the inside and an anchor in there, right? I mean, he's built like this dude behind me.
Exactly.
And you love having that, right? So, I mean, I love this football team. I really do. I love what they're about. The continuity and the coaching staff. Elko taking back over the plays. I wasn't a big Bateman play caller guy, but I do love the talent acquisition piece, right? So, I mean, Elko was able to massage that. Had some egos in there, right?
Yep.
Massage that, bring in his old analyst back at Duke to help on the back end too, as he's
Lyle
calling
Hemphill.
some stuff. Yeah. No, I love what they've got on the defensive side, but the offense has got the firepower too. So you got your kicker of 10 years back, feels like, and then so great punter.
Yeah, we don't talk about special teams enough. Yeah, we don't talk about special teams. I'm guilty of it. I don't talk about the special teams, but you talk about the chance to flip the field or control the field because you have the punter. You don't want to be punting, but if you are punting,
you don't want to.
You got a good one. You got a good one. You got a good field goal kicker. I mean, he's been proven. He's been around a while. Knock on wood. Hopefully he keeps that up. And
that's right.
I think you have a chance to have a good return game too with a year or two Terry Bussey, a Casey Concepcion, Ruben Owens, Mario Craver, wherever they go with it. I think there's a good chance this team can control some field positioning games. That's kind of an unsung part of the team, as long as everybody else does their part, because it's more than one player on special teams. But I think that's exciting. I just wanted to touch on that because I know I'm guilty of not mentioning it.
And they have an actual dedicated special teams coach, unlike when Jimbo was here. So
that is a big deal. We had blunders, and we couldn't get on the field at times. We were having to call timeouts for field goals every now and then. But
exactly,
you were talking about this defense. I think I'm with you. The offense is extremely exciting. I've thrown some pretty bold takes out there. The camera gets rolled and you start talking a little bit. I've thrown some bold stuff out there about the offense. I'm saying top 3 SEC offense. That'll be fun to see. We'll see where they can line up, where they can shake out. But defensively, I'm with you. That's where more of the questions lie. You lose some big names up front. That's life in the SEC, right? Elko talked about that. You bring them in, they're going to leave early. They're going to go pro. It's how it happens. It's what happens in this game. I'm of the opinion, I'm with you. A lot of ballyhoo, a lot of hype for that defensive line that's now gone. I think as much as they did, have some high highs and just kind of coasted the rest of the year. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but they had some good moments. LSU, Missouri, they were very impactful.
Absolutely.
But kind of not so impactful, especially in some of the losses down the stretch. I'm of the opinion that I think some secondary play maybe made them look a little bit worse than they were at times. I think in that South Carolina game, I think of some of the big plays that came through. I think you see maybe some safeties misfitting gaps. I think you see maybe Scooby and Torian kind of learning each other early in the year. In York playing next to Cooper for years, he had such a ground coverer next to him. Elite for NFL talent next to him. That's an adjustment. If I'm looking at this defense, I want to hear if you agree or not. I think the pivot point, even though we're looking at this D-line, we're looking at new pieces. They're exciting pieces. I think they could be fine. I'm really looking at the secondary and specifically these safeties to take that next step. If you're looking at this whole team, you need one group to take that step. Obviously, you want quarterback. I think we're going to get it. But I think the biggest kind of contention point are the safeties. Just run fitting and just being sound in zone coverage. Would you agree with that?
No, I think you nailed it, man. I really do. We couldn't stop the forward pass, as Elko said, down the stretch last year, and that's a big problem.
Yeah.
And a lot of that was Will Lee was banged up.
And
I
Chappelle
was at
out.
the Auburn game. I'm like, where is Will Lee? They're cutting us up, and he was banged up. And then you look in the ball game, too. He couldn't stop anybody, and he was the guy that could. Rick's got, like Bateman said a couple weeks ago or maybe a week ago, just played way too much.
A young freshman-age player. I looked at the PFF numbers. He led the team pretty significantly in coverage snaps, and that's asking for trouble in the SEC just by way of age.
You go get him some competition on the other side, and then at safety, you've got a lot of snaps in there. And Dalton Brooks, if he cannot lead with the crown of the helmet, that would help him a lot, number one. And then, two, I just think another year older and wiser, that dude's got NFL ability. He's very talented. And Bryce Anderson, I thought he was going to be an all-timer, and then just early. But it's easy to kind of pop in, get you 12 snaps, make a bunch of plays, and then it's a lot harder when you're a marked man, and then every coach is scheming up your deficiencies as well as a guy that's caught in the middle of their scouting report.
Yeah.
But also, word on the street, right, is that he was banged up last year too. So, that's something he was playing through. So give him credit for that. And he didn't talk about it. He didn't make a deal out of it. They just played.
Yeah.
And I like that too. He just played. And
from reports, Bryce, a leader in drills, a leader in practice as well. I think he carries himself the right way even through those struggles.
Yeah, for sure. So, and he's going to have to step up, man. I mean, I could see if there's a couple injuries in there. Now you're looking up, it's like, all right, Ratcliffe, Davis, and what else? Yeah. I mean, you got a veteran Kerr, and you've got some young dudes in there that hadn't played a lot. Pride and Johnson and some of these guys. So, I think that is a group. It's not like you went out and portaled your face off and just got a whole bunch of new.
That was last year.
There.
Yeah.
That was last year. And you did that at corner and nickel.
Yeah.
You did it there. And so, and if you want to keep Tyreek Chappelle at nickel instead of corner and move some stuff around, these safeties are going to have to play. They're going to have to play and stay healthy. I think the top two guys are going to have to play a ton and play well and be productive.
Yep.
And you're right, man. When you really dive into it, it actually – you have reason to be confident because they've played a lot of football.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're talented, but maybe I feel a little bit better about the ends than I do the safeties going into the year because of how good Cassius Howell is. And there's a little bit more depth because they really portaled out and did a good job on the defensive front.
Yeah, and young guys stepping up. Rylan Kennedy looking like a transformed man, not a boy anymore. Rylan Kennedy's a man now. Marco Jones, I mean, he's a young man. He could he could have a role in year one. I mean, it's almost like a joke at this point. 6 sacks in the spring game is just incredible work. But you get continuity in two areas, O-line and secondary. Those are, what were you saying, a nickel, not a penny. But I think that goes for both of those groups, and I'm really glad to get continuity in those two groups. Let's finish with the offense. Yeah. I want to go back to Marcel Reed. Obviously, you're high on Reed. I'm also high on Reed. He was a young man last year. He was a redshirt freshman, thrust into a year one for him in a year one system under Colin Klein. Going through quarterback change, big difference between his style of play and Connor Wigman's style. I think we kind of saw that. And I think we saw the offense adapt over the year to fit Marcel's skill set, much more RPO and quick game later in the year, especially in the bowl game. I thought he had a good bowl game. I thought this offense was really did what it wanted to do the best in that bowl game. You have a month of bowl prep to get ready for that. And the shortcomings there were defensive. With Marcel getting into year two, I don't think we need him to take over the world, but what do you think the steps that he needs to take are for this team to thrive in year two with the weapons around him?
Yeah, you're exactly right. I know that we can pinpoint a lot of stuff, and I banged my head up my Aggie football Gabe Bock fan head up against the wall many times with some acute points of play calling, right? Like, why would we do that? Why would we do this in that moment? There
Yeah.
were moments in there, play calling moments, where it's like, man, what were we thinking right there? I don't get it.
Yeah.
It's why I'm vowing to not tweet during games anymore. Because, I didn't do that my last 5, 6 years of radio, and I was such a happier man.
Yeah.
And now that I'm a fan again, I'm like fanning out during games. It's like, no, I'm just gonna this year enjoy the kids and just the highs and lows, and I'm gonna turn the phone off until after the game. And I think it'll make me a lot better off in the end and a lot healthier. But when you really look at it, 41 points against Missouri, 34 points against Mississippi State, 38 points against LSU. South Carolina was an absolute train wreck. Overall, just a terrible start. We did come back and battle, and then they just dominated us late.
Yeah.
The Auburn game, I get, was 4 overtime, so that skewed a little bit, but you scored 41. I mean, we were scoring points and didn't have a tough time necessarily scoring points in the SEC. And so, but those acute moments, play calling. But now QB knows quarterback very well, vice versa. They're in the system now, working hand in hand, and then you go get him some weapons, like he had at K-State, and then some, way beyond what he had there. Of course, the competition's a lot harder, so you need to do that. But we went out in the NIL game and got what we needed, and got all those backs back too. This is a run-oriented attack that's got weapons on the outside too, and about 5 tight ends.
Oh yeah.
And we don't talk about the big body like Black enough because he didn't do anything last year, because he was just, sometimes you go to a bad spot. Now he's back with Wiggins. That's his guy. I love what his potential is, which Alan Waddell, who won a bunch of state championships at Lamarck and then was A&M's linebackers coach, starting in '98 with that and the bonfire year and so on and so forth for about 4 or 5 years. DC at U of H, a good friend of mine, and loves A&M, even though he won a national championship as a player at Texas. He is an Aggie fan. Even though he won a national championship at Texas, craziest thing, but he coached here and fell in love with the thing. Now he's like, oh, I get what this place is about now. They're not male cheerleaders. This is whole different, right? I mean, it's all different once you dive into it. And outside, it's just hard to get it. And that's fine. Pate gets it.
He does.
But those idiots on Outkick, and so they don't get it.
I saw that too, yeah.
And that's fine. I mean, they're just trying to rile people up and make sure people know who their names are. And I still don't know their names.
Look, if you have a slow day, if you're slow on X, you're slow on clicks, talk about A&M. That'll get it going for you. Yeah.
No question. And Pate goes the other way, and he's like, hey, I'm going to love A&M and be the one guy who does.
Yeah.
And, and it's he gets a lot of clicks for it too. But, but Waddell would say potential is a 9-letter word that means you hadn't done anything. Yeah. And honestly, Black hadn't done anything, but he's got unbelievable potential. And you saw the flashes of it even when we played them at Bama. You saw little flashes like, oh, shoot.
Oh, yeah.
So I love that piece to it too, because now you add the big body that you lost. Not the same kind of player, but you did lose Noah Thomas, right? We can't just – I don't know if I think Noah Thomas realized ABR is really freaking good. I think that's part of it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's why, obviously not why he left. You get a chance to go to Georgia and they'll pay you a bunch of money, all this kind of.
Damian Craig as well, former coach. I mean, the guy that recruited him. That's got to be a factor there too. So.
That's a good point too. But what you needed after losing that piece was somebody, that skill set, that big target that can go on the outside. Now he can technically a tight end, but he looks more like just a big receiver, and I'm excited to see what he can bring to this offense. So I'm bullish on the offense, man. Yeah, I really am. I'm excited to see what they can bring.
I'm with you. And for Marcel, I think it's just that natural year 2 progression and just being more comfortable in this system, and the system being more comfortable around Marcel, learning each other, just kind of meeting in the middle. Yep. And I think it'll be enough. But all right, let's wrap this thing up. I want you to call your shot, Gabe. I want to hear your season prediction for the Aggies, and maybe take me through some of the stress points in the season. We'll get you out of here.
Yeah, I printed the TexAgs schedule, and I've circled little elements here, and I put some question marks on, can we do this?
Yeah.
And I think it has to start with, we're going to know a lot about this team before October 1st.
Oh, yeah.
When you really look at this thing and the trip to Notre Dame, I don't think they're as good as they were last year. But if you played in the NFL and have a son in high school, you're going to Notre Dame.
Right.
The kid's going to Notre Dame. I mean, he's just star-studded as it gets.
Oh, yeah.
over there, what he's recruiting. I think he's an outstanding coach, probably a top 5 coach. And I think Notre Dame's going to win a national championship in one year.
Yeah.
If he stays, I think they're going to win a national championship. I don't know if the quarterback's there this year.
Right.
And a lot of their pieces are young, and they had a bunch of 37-year-olds on the defense last year. So,
yeah.
Which almost too old, filing for retirement,
Right.
But, it was unbelievable. Like the amount of just guys that knew football and played a lot of football together on that back end last year. So I think they can be had. I believe you got them A&M beating Notre Dame.
No, I have us dropping to Notre Dame. I have a whole take on that. A lot of
Aggies. No, you have A&M beating LSU.
I do. Right. A lot of Aggies disagree with me there. That's just my feel right now. I feel Notre Dame has ball control, and I want to see A&M's defensive line and safeties excel before I can pick that game. That's just my take, though. I know I'm in the minority there.
No, for sure. So, but I think you can't let Notre Dame. You can't lose Notre Dame and then let a loss bleed into the first SEC game, because I think Auburn will be much more improved, even though I'm not a big Jackson Arnold fan, but anybody is more improved than what Peyton Thorne gave you outside of the A&M game, where he became, a Heisman Trophy. It was like just when we played Miami in 2007, was it Kyle Wright? We made Kyle Wright and Robert Marv look like Heisman Trophy winners for 1 week.
Yeah.
In 2005 over there, and then 2006 or 7 return back here. And it was like, what in the world's going on? Yeah. And we were known in some of those areas for making quarterbacks look like, Heisman Trophy front runners. But you can't let that happen against Auburn. Win the game and you beat Auburn at home. The place is going to go crazy.
Yeah, of course.
Just go 4-0, SEC opener. Like Jackson Arnold's never seen anything like what we're going to give him if we beat Notre Dame. But if you limp in, thankfully you got a week off, but if you limp in there, don't let it bleed into, and that's where I think Elko's going to be good.
Yeah.
Is that, and don't let it bleed into that next week. You have to, at very minimum, go 1-1 there. And then I roll Auburn into the first of that new phase, because you're playing all these games at home.
Got a homestand.
And then you don't play at home the rest of the year, basically. So
yeah.
It's like Auburn, Mississippi State, Florida. Can you go 3-0? Auburn, Mississippi State, Florida. A&M's better than those teams. Now, DJ could go crazy at Florida, and who knows? Like, that's an X factor for sure, because he could be the best quarterback in the league, or he could be somewhere in the middle, because there's a lot of good quarterbacks in this league. And then you go, and I'll roll South Carolina in there. Is this a 3-1 minimum at Arkansas? Scary, because it's actually there.
Yes.
At LSU, at Missouri, coming off a bye. And then Lenore Sellers, man. I mean, he cut us up with no offensive weapons outside of Rocket Sanders last year.
Yep.
He didn't have a weapon on the outside last year and just knifed us.
Yep.
And how many times did we hit him and could not bring him down? He's like a Johnny Cam Newton combo. This dude
I can
is
see that.
Just unreal good.
Yeah.
I think he's the best QB in the SEC going into the year on paper. I love him.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's good and committed and focused, and as a team guy, and as a smart guy. I mean, he's big time.
He can take over a game. He can be Cam Newton for a game, any game. He can do what Cam Newton did for Auburn in that year. He can be that for them. And they lose Rocket Sanders, they lose their tight end. They didn't use much on the outside. They bring back Nick Harbor. We'll see what he is, but I like A&M in the matchup. I really do.
I do too. But it'll be here.
It'll be here, and I like the revenge factor versus Auburn as well. Yep. I would say that Auburn has a very high ceiling. A very high ceiling as a team because of what they have, but I'm with you on the Jackson Arnold, and I'm not loving the reports out of camp. But that stretch away from Kyle Field for an entire month, including a bye week, but an entire month away from Kyle Field. I mean, how do the schedule makers let that happen, first of all? That's crazy to me.
Well, they don't care about us, right?
They don't care about us. Exactly.
They make everybody's schedule they care about, and then they figure out how to make the math work with everybody else.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like I do when I'm thinking about A&M's rivals in the 3-6 combo with a 9-game schedule, and then I don't care about everybody else. I'm just going to make the math work.
Yep.
So that's the way that goes. But look, on paper, I got us 9-3, but there's some landmines in there, man.
Yeah.
I mean, Auburn and Florida and at Arkansas and South Carolina here. It's like, hey, I think A&M could win all those games.
Yeah.
And that doesn't even count at LSU, at Texas, or at Notre Dame.
Yeah.
And so when I look at it, obviously September is huge. And if you can go 4-0 in September, I change my tune.
Oh, yeah.
And this becomes a playoff conversation right now. And you're still on the edge of the playoff. 9-3 means you're going to Texas right on the road with a chance to make the playoff.
Yeah.
And so, so as a 2-loss team, you're going, so obviously on paper, you think that's a loss, but damn, I've seen this rivalry for
Oh
a
my
long time.
goodness. Yep.
Just throw the thing out the window, and it didn't go well for us last year, and we left a lot of opportunities on the table. So
Yep.
who knows? The only thing I'm going to guarantee is I'm going to try to find a way to be in the seats that night.
Yeah.
So other
You
than
and me
that,
both. You and me
yep.
both. I want to see
So I'm
us
going to say
come.
9-3 on paper, but if we beat Notre
Yeah.
Dame, obviously that changes things.
I'm in the exact same opinion. I want to see us get through the first 6 games with 1 or fewer loss. I think that's the marker there. You get through Notre Dame in that 3-game homestand with 1 or fewer loss. You feel like everything's on the table. You feel like you will have seen what you wanted to see from the team. But I'm not, we want to beat Notre Dame. I'm personally not going to panic if we lose it. I know there will be panic if we lose that game. It's on the road. I think that offense is ready to be one of the best running attacks in the country. But if you win that game, the top is off the season. Everything is possible. You can change your season prediction at that point. You're allowed to do it. I'm also 9-3. Although I think I'm seeing a 10-2 team, I'm also going 9-3 because I just think there's some scheduling stuff there that makes it difficult. So we're in agreement there, Gabe. Before we wrap up, one more chance. Thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate you rocking the RHOBACK, by the way. That thing looks clean.
Aggie one.
Aggie RHOBACK. They just dropped the line. Yes, sir. I appreciate you.
I bought it the day they dropped the line. I've been with RHOBACK since pre-COVID. You go back and look at the last part, my last stretch of shows on TexAgs. I'm wearing RHOBACK about every day because I think it really does a good job. It's very comfortable.
Very comfortable.
It hides the dad bod.
It does. It does. Yeah. It's kind of tight up top.
I don't think you know about yet, but congrats on your wedding.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
Yeah, it really does a great job, man, of hiding that dad bod. So
yeah, the wedding's done. Dad bod's coming next. That's a couple of years down the road for me. But I'll have RHOBACK to back me up. So, yeah, they're tight in the right spot and looser down here. I got RHOBACK backing me up. Gabe, one more time, tell everybody where they can find you, how they can connect with you, and what you're doing these days. So if anyone wants to reach out to Gabe, how they can do it.
Yeah. Megan and I are running a shop here in town, residential real estate, BockRealtyGroup.com, all things real estate for residential. So if you want a lot to build your dream home, or if you want to move out to one of the golf course communities, or we live in Mission Ranch. We love Mission Ranch. You live out there, all kinds of amenities. So if you're a first-time home buyer, like you're scared of the process, have no idea where to start, like we do that too. We're running sales for the Aria, which is at Marion Pugh and Holloman, right by the railroad track, right over there by Welborn. I mean, it's like 3-minute drive to Kyle Field. And we have 292 units to sell. I mean, it's a big complex. They came to us, unbelievably thankful, grateful every single day we got that opportunity. We have 2 condo guys on our team who they're in hog heaven right now. They're loving life doing it. So, that all kinds of products with real estate, man. We can help you. We love it. Been 2-time Aggie 100, and it's just been really cool to see taking the leap of faith, getting the opportunity. I did it for family. Didn't do it for business success. I didn't know if that was going to come at all, right? I didn't even know if I'd like it. But Megan had done it for 10 years. So I lived it through her vicariously and felt like I would. Did not like it this much and really be as invested as we are. But, we absolutely love running this team together. We've got about 12, 14 agents now, and just been awesome all the way around, man. So we're super excited. BockRealtyGroup.com. You check us out. I'll be tweeting like crazy, except for 3 hours on Saturdays.
Right. We tweet after the games. We process things and then we talk.
That's right.
I'm trying to do that. I give my 10-minute emotional reaction after the game, and I tell the people, this is my emotional reaction. Tomorrow, I'm going to rewatch the game, and this is how I really feel. But Bock Realty, y'all check them out. It seems like the radio voice probably translates to the communication required in real estate pretty well. So I'm sure you're well equipped to handle the duties out there. I'm sure it's awesome. But
it's been great. Yeah.
Last thing for you before I let you go, give Aggieland a little rallying cry before the 2025 season, man. What's your message to the 12th man?
Man, it's time. And it's time. I miss all you guys. It's really fun doing the radio show every single day, just kind of being able to tell that story day after day after day. Not getting a chance to do that anymore, but I'm hearing you, and you're out there and you're following the Aggies like me, and it's fun being a fan. I see you at Kyle Field. Find me in section 114 this year. We got a little upgrade on our tickets, but and it's still down there, down the end zone. I kind of like that.
I love it too. That's my favorite.
Yeah, I like watching the play develop that way.
See the splits, everything. Yeah.
Absolutely. So you'll see Ella and Easton and myself, and I let them bring a kid to use that for a friend, so they rotate that out. So that's a lot of fun. But Hey, look, I'm sick and tired of Texas 8-4. Like that name, I hate that. I want to just throw my water bottle at Jacob Hester every time he says it on Sirius XM. I mean, I like Jacob Hester. He's a nice guy.
Yep.
But obviously he doesn't love A&M. And you can sense that vitriol
Right.
coming from any time he gets a chance to call us that. I am sick and tired of that. But you know what? It's our fault. The only way you can do anything about it is to start winning and stop being that. Like Georgia was that until they found their guy.
Yeah.
Every guy. I mean, Bama was that until they found Bama may be that again eventually. But they had the guy. You know, when you find the guy, and we're waiting to figure out if we got the guy.
Yeah.
You know, it's the guy that really fits the culture. I mean, Jimbo looked like a perfect culture fit.
Yep.
All right, but it just didn't work out. And there are moments there where, you know, you feel like you got it, but you've got to have the program in the right situation, prime for success, and then you have to find the coach that goes with it. And if we've got that, we get past all this and start winning in a big way. This Buffalo behind me, you know, cows are cowards, run from the storm. When snowstorm's coming, they're running. They're kind of an indicator that a storm's coming. They're running away from the direction the storm's coming. But a buffalo goes through the storm, right? And they get to the other side. They're going to go stampede through the storm. Now, I guarantee on this schedule, storm is coming.
Mm-hmm.
It's coming in a big way, and you're going to feel it and feel the pressure. But I think you got the right pieces there in play to battle through that storm that's coming in the SEC. This is no joke, right? We've been in this thing for 13 years, and it is absolutely no joke, and not for the faint of heart. I think this team's primed and ready for success. Get beyond that and be a part of that playoff conversation annually moving forward, starting in 2025.
Let's do it. We have the tools, and Elko's going to roll his sleeves up and go to work every single day to get it done. All right, Gabe, I appreciate you jumping on the channel. Thanks for being here, man. Gig 'em.
Appreciate you. Gig 'em.